If you've been around the block in Guild Wars 2, then you most certainly have seen the flashy, glowy players who basically you need a pair of sunglasses to look at directly. That's because these people have completely fitted out their legendary gear and or bought something off the cash shop. This may stop some new players in their tracks because it looks like such a grind. Legendaries can be super expensive, and for what? The same stat value as Ascended gear, which is only a fraction of the cost? But let's just say it's not all for show. What if I told you the real reason players chase Legendaries is actually saving them time and effort in the future, and even more so, a bunch of gold? You need to craft Legendary gear because it completely changes the way that you play the game. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Guild Wars 2 content. I'm not gonna lie to you. Legendary gear grinds are one of the most demanding journeys in Guild Wars 2 that you will ever do. Of course, if you view it as a sprint rather than a marathon, then you're going to hate it so much more. I mean, I know I've hated it more if I've tried to rush through it. It's meant to be a long-term goal for players to achieve, being weapons, armor, trinkets, or what have you. It may seem daunting, a time investment and gold investment to name the bigger grinds. First, gold. A single legendary can cost you a few thousand gold if you were starting out with nothing in your bank. You need a crap ton of tier 6 trophies that each one can nearly go for like 30 silver on the trading post to build the gifts of might and magic, or the gifts of condensed might and condensed magic. On top of that, you will need quite a few globs of ectoplasm, which are not cheap, and then of course mystic clovers, which are some of the more rare crafting components for legendaries. I will also mention that the gifts of tier 6 materials also require a high level crafting of at least 400 if you are crafting yourself, or if you own Secrets of the Obscure or Janthier Wilds, you can purchase them from vendors within those expansions, just for your information. Now these values change depending on which legendary item you were pursuing, some being more and some being less, but the overall sentiment is pricey. I'll share some tips towards the end about how to make this process a little bit easier, so hang in there. Followed up with this is of course the time sink. Most of the legendary items require a grind of some sort that is tedious. For Generation 1 weapons, it's the Gift of Exploration. If it's PvP armor, you gotta do quite a bit of structured PvP to get it. Most weapons require a Gift of Battle at a minimum, which requires you to participate in the game mode of World versus World. I tell you all this because it is simply important for you to get your mind right before diving into a legendary grind. Simply prepare yourself, take your time. I promise you it won't be that bad. However, some might ask, why do we do this? The stats are just like Ascended gear, which is way easier to get, so if it's all just for show, then it's really not a big deal. Well, that's where you're wrong. The real game changer came in 2021, and this is the legendary armor. Kind of flipped the script, really, because prior to this, you would earn a legendary item on one character, and then you would either have to share it through the shared inventory, put it into the guild bank, or send it as like it was a tedious process to be able to send that legendary gear to other characters on your account. Now, once the legendary item is bound, it unlocks in your armory for every single level 80 on your account at the same time. You aren't just making a great sword for your warrior, you're also making one for your guardian, for your ranger, for your necromancer, for the revenant, all at once, instantly. That one item becomes a copy of itself, ready for any character you have. I kind of view the legendary armors as kind of like an ultimate master key. Gearing up alts can be a pain. What happens if you can simply just click a button and have it all ready to go? Not to mention, a brand new full set of Ascended gear can cost you quite a bit, either time or gold, depending on the method that you go. Although having said that, you can get a couple of cheaper pieces of Ascended gear, say for example from the Wizard's Vault, at the exchange of Astral Acclaim. If you have 3 light armor characters, instead of 9 gear sets, it's 1 set of legendaries, and you are golden. Yes, the upfront cost is pretty expensive, however it pays for itself in the long run, like an investment into your account's future. The armory is fantastic, but it's only half the reason why legendaries are great. The other half is the incredible flexibility that legendary gear offers you. In Guild Wars 2, almost every build has a quote-unquote optimal stat combination and allocation. I won't speak to which one is best, rather I would refer you to websites like Hardstuck or Snowcrows, as they focus on the actual math of what is optimal. But in general, power builds, which is strike damage or on-hit damage, builds focus on power, precision, and ferocity, or mainly the Berserker stat line. Whereas condition damage builds might focus on condition damage and expertise along with power and precision. also known as Vipers, and optimal support usually runs a Harrier tag as well. With Ascended gear, if you want to switch from a power build to a condition build, you really have two choices, but they aren't all that great. You can either craft or earn a brand new set of Ascended gear for that new build, or you can use the Mystic Forge to swap your stats on your current gear, which honestly is not ideal either, because it really ain't all that cheap. These barriers make it hard for you to actually enjoy one of Guild Wars 2's most fun aspects, which is experimentation. Creating a new build that's different and exciting is one of the best parts of this game. Legendary gear basically throws the entire hassle that I just described out the window. Legendary gear can swap to any stat combination in-game for free at any time, as long as you are outside of combat, which that quality of life, without a doubt, is hard to overstate. This also means your upgrades, such as runes, sigils, and fusions, they can all be moved in and out of your gear for free without needing an upgrade extractor or destroying that upgrade. This is like build tinkering 101, and it's incredible because it's just a pain in the neck otherwise. And you could preset builds to have them ready to go just at the click of a button as well. I mean, the optimization and quality of life is there. And this is not to mention for any of those who are the fashion-oriented people out there, as you can click one button, change any piece of your legendary gear to whatever new look you want without the cost of a transmutation charge for free at any time. Just going to add that in there, which that's such a perk in my eyes. My last major point of why legendary items are possibly the best thing to invest into the future is because Guild Wars 2 doesn't have vertical progression in terms of gear. Once you have a set, you are set. For example, the new expansion Visions of Eternity coming out in October, along with the new elite specializations. Now, this is the perfect time for you to have a couple of pieces of legendary gear ready to go so that you can play the new specs with flexible gear on day one. This cannot be overstated for the level of convenience, not to mention that if ArenaNet adds any new stat combinations with Visions of Eternity, you would be able to trial them immediately and see if they fit into your build. But let me go ahead and talk about some of the points that have helped me in my legendary gear creation. Number one, Mystic Clovers are some of the most challenging pieces to get, but luckily the Wizard's Vault has a couple each season. You could purchase quite a few of them for each reset for Astral Acclaim, ideally making this a little bit easier. Not to mention just straight up purchasing gold from the Wizard's Vault, and along with maybe some Mystic coins if you're feeling lucky to do the gamble in Mystic Forge. I recommend looking at other vendors who can guarantee at least earning some each week. I've included that list in the description below. This tip requires you to have Path of Fire and Living World Season 4, but purchasing volatile logging axes, mining picks, or harvesting sickles, as you gather those nodes in the wild, you will gain volatile magic, which then can be exchanged for a trophy shipment, which gives you a few higher tier trophies, as well as some other ones, that can be used for crafting any of the gifts of blood, bones, claws, venom, what have you. Mainly for the gifts of might and magic, or the gifts of condensed might and gifts of condensed magic. Now, each one of these shipments costs 250 volatile magic and 1 gold, but it really does make that cost so much more simpler down the line. Wizard's Vault legendary starter kits can be used in 2 ways. It basically sets you up for a legendary Gen 1 weapon that you really only need a few materials, namely the map completion and the Mystic Clovers to complete. You can, of course, simply complete the remaining pieces to earn a Gen 1 legendary, or you can go and complete it and then sell the Gen 1 legendary for quite a bit of gold. Because map completion offers 2 gifts of exploration, I've used one to complete a Gen 1 legendary, sold it, and then gathered the remaining materials that I needed for the Gen 1 legendary that I'm going to keep. This is small advice, and it does require a bit of work. It's not simple, but this is something that I have done, and I found good success with it. If you are working towards a legendary items, always look to maximize your time. For example, if you were going to complete legendary structured PvP gear, while earning it, you can also complete the steps that are needed for the legendary backpack in PvP, the Ascension. This saves myself quite a bit of time down the road, as Ascension requires certain achievements to be completed as you were doing structured PvP. While I am still able to grind for the Shards of Ascended Glory to make my new legendary gear. I always recommend min-maxing your time to try to knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. This pertains to the Gen 1 and Gen 3 legendaries, but honestly, if you can afford it, simply just getting the precursor is one of the easier ways to make those weapon grinds a lot simpler. It skips a lot of the fetching and the achievement hunting, and just basically allows you to skip to the endgame crafting without any due hassle. And then, of course, each one of those has their own steps that you must complete in either Cantha or in the original base Tyria. So there is still a grind, but it makes it a lot easier. My last tip would be to look for legendaries that you like, of course, but also provide great bang for your buck, such as rings, amulets, accessories, or spears, as all of these items can be used across all of your characters, and do not isolate to just a handful. One of my big first crafting focuses was for Vision, the legendary accessory, and now all my characters have access to it. Now this is more my preference, and if you have a specific one that you want to go after, then I would say go after it, but I like to look for the maximum bang for my buck. So yes, the real reason players push through legendaries isn't always for show. It's for the freedom to be able to constantly change your gear and builds at any time without constantly having to earn new ascended gear or carry around a whole bunch of ascended sets. It turns gearing from a repetitive chore to a one and done account defining victory. Flashy skin? It's kind of like a victory lap, you know? I want to hear from you. What was your first legendary? Looking back at it, was it worth it? Let me know your story in the comments below. If you are interested in learning how I'm preparing for Visions of Eternity, the new Guild Wars 2 expansion, you can click this video here. Otherwise, stay caffeinated, folks.